Poor password hygiene is another security risk. Typically, people use the same password across all websites. Passwords can now be a gateway into identity theft. That's because everything that we do nowadays is on the internet. Banking is done on the internet. Social media accounts are on the internet. Email, and almost everything else. Once people gain access to your passwords, they can really ruin your life by changing them, sending emails to people, and accessing accounts you don't want them to access. So, what kind of things indicate poor password hygiene? First, you have to create a complicated password based off a website's requirements. Because the password is kind of complicated, you have trouble remembering it. So, you write it down on a sticky note and slip it under your keyboard. Or you might have an Excel document on your computer with all of your passwords. You may not realize that if somebody walks by your desk, they can see what your passwords are. Or if someone steals your computer, they have access to all of your passwords as well. Also, chances are you've used the same password on your email, banking, or social media accounts. Additionally, freely sharing passwords with friends, family members, and colleagues may not seem like a problem because you may think they're never going to use it in any sort of malicious way, but you can never be sure. When it comes to passwords and password complexity, this is what users typically do. If it's an 8-character password, they put in something like elephant. If it requires a number, they just toss a number on the end of their core password. If a symbol is required, they put a symbol, then an exclamation point on the end. Then they capitalize a letter. So, if you notice, these passwords really aren't getting any more complicated. If I knew your password was elephant, then I could go to a website, see what requirements it says are needed for a strong password on the site, then toss in a number or a symbol if that's what's required. It makes it much easier to find out what your password is if you follow this process. Often, to help avoid data breaches, some passwords are required to change every 90 days. Because some people don't understand why they have to do this, they see this as an annoyance, and they end up just changing the number and the symbol at the end. Then they go to the next button on the keyboard because it helps them remember their passwords. Once again, you have that core password that is never changing at all. But after your password is stolen, it's very simple for people to try all of the alternative options of the password. So for instance, if a data breach happened and the password that was stolen was elephant, they would go to a website, maybe Facebook, maybe your email, and look to see what requirements they have for making a password. For instance, if a website requires 8 characters and a symbol, there are only 32 symbols on the keyboard, so it would take a human 5 or so minutes to go ahead and crack that password by trying all of the different options. Computers can carry out these tasks in fractions of a second, except instead of trying one website, they're trying hundreds of websites all at the same time, trying that password that was just stolen and all of the different variations on that password, numbers, symbols, and so forth. So it becomes very easy to take over all of your accounts if just one is compromised.